back to my channel. My name is Edward and I'm a self-proclaimed thirst trapper. For those that don't know me, I'm sure some of you have seen me on Instagram or TikTok showing off my meat, which is my belly. But today I'm going to show you another type of meat in 3, 2, 1. Oh. As many of you guys know, today is Thanksgiving. What that really means to me is just eating really delicious food with family and loved ones. And today, I'm going to be taking you guys with me as I cook a delicious Thanksgiving feast for my family. And along the way, I'm going to show you guys some of my family recipes and also show you guys my meat. But disclaimer, before we get started, I am not a professional chef. I just cook for fun. But you're also not here to watch me to cook. You're here to watch my meat. So now that we're on the same page, let's get cooking. So this year we're not going to be eating a turkey. We're going to be eating a roasted leg of a lamb, just because turkey, we never finish it and the meat is not very delicious. So we're going to be eating this bad boy right here.
Well, hold on.
Before we get cooking, we have to first marinate it, and let me show you the spices that we're going to marinate this with. I use thyme, cumin, salt, and pepper. So typically I start out with the salt just because it's faster in terms of getting it to be absorbed in the meat. You just use a healthy scooping of it. I don't really measure just because that's not really who I am.
2 shots of vodka.
Oh. Rub it in. The second thing I really like to use is cumin, if you can see it right here. This is okay to put a lot more of it in, just because it naturally doesn't, unlike salt, it doesn't like absorb into the meat as much. It usually stays as just a coating. When you start cooking it, it typically will come off anyways, so I'll just put a lot of it in there. Now the last spice we're going to put on is just a little bit of thyme. Oh, I put way too much. Okay, anyways, just sprinkle it up there like Salt Bae. You rub it in. Look at the meat. Look at this delicious meat. I'm just going to add a little bit more of cumin on here. So the next thing we're going to work on are potatoes, and we're just going to first shave off the peels, and then we're going to dice them up. So let's do that. So when you shave potatoes, you have to be really careful, just because if you don't shave it correctly, like one time I had this huge skin that just came off. I promise I'm not flipping you guys off, but it came off my middle finger. Okay, now that we have all 3 potatoes shaved like this, we're gonna dice them up. So after we're done cutting the potatoes, we're gonna put them back into our little tray, and then we're gonna toss them a little bit with salt and pepper.
My life, it's potato.
Okay, so now that we're done with the potatoes and also the lamb, we're gonna work on our Brussels sprouts. So this is something that I have been eating since the beginning of time.
Are you not ashamed of yourself? Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
So this has been something I've been eating since I was a little baby, which my mom used to make, is Brussels sprouts with bacon, and it is the most delicious thing ever. So even though my mom is not here today, we are gonna recreate this recipe. It's really, I don't know how to call it recipe, it's really quite simple. You just, these Brussels sprouts are kind of dirty, so I would just rinse them in water. You can also put some salt in the water, just to get the germ. So after we rinsed the Brussels sprouts, I'm just gonna go through and pick out some of the bad leaves on these Brussels sprouts. So after we've picked out the bad leaves and we've washed the Brussels sprouts, we're just gonna cut them, halve them, like this. The reason you want to have these Brussels sprouts, for those that don't know, is just because that allows it to have more surface area, so it absorbs more of the grease from the bacon. So growing up, I actually never really liked eating Brussels sprouts, mainly because I really didn't like the way that the vegetable tasted. I was a very unhealthy child.
We never cry.
But the only way my mom got me to eat Brussels sprouts or vegetables in general was adding it into bacon, which in hindsight was probably not the healthiest, but it was really delicious. The thing we're going to do is layer the bowl with paper towels so we can pat these Brussels sprouts dry. By doing so, you're drawing out the moisture, so when you bake it or whatever you're going to air fry it, it becomes a lot more crispy. So the last thing we're going to do with these Brussels sprouts, obviously before the bacon, is just to season it with a little bit of salt. Not only does it give a little bit of flavor, but also the salt helps draw out more moisture. So
a few moments later.
It's been about like an hour or so. I gave some time for the lamb to marinate, and I also defrosted some shrimps. Let me show you the shrimps. Do you guys see the shrimps? Wait, these shrimps are so big. Wait, look. Compared to the size of my face, like my tiny little face, like they're pretty big. Like they're the size of like my shrimp, if you know what I mean.
BFFR. What did that spell? B fucking for real.
But I'm gonna season these shrimps with some Cajun seasoning or Cajun inspired seasoning, and then we're gonna start cooking the lamb and everything else. So let's go. So before we start cooking, the first thing we need to do is to preheat the oven. So the lamb is about like 4 to 5 pounds, and for a meat like that, I usually cook it for about like an hour on 325 degrees, and then I take it off, I check it, and then I put it back on for about like another 10 minutes just because I want it to be a little bit like medium rare. So let's set the oven. So while the oven is preheating, we need to do one last thing for the lamb, and what that's going to be is to stuff garlic into it. So what I like to do is I usually take like the bottom side of the lamb, I cut like a few little like slits into the meat. Like it doesn't really matter where, but just preferably in areas where there's like thicker bits of meat, like that. And then what I do is I take a couple of garlic right here, and then I just stuff it in there. It might seem a little unconventional, but by doing this, it really allows like the garlic to get really like soft. And when it gets soft, it like the juices and the mush kind of flows into the meat, and it becomes just really delicious. So let me do that. Now the lamb is ready to go into the oven. So the next thing we're going to do while the lamb is cooking in the oven is we're going to start working on the Brussels sprouts and bacon. So the first thing we have to do for the bacon and Brussels sprouts is we have to first take these strips of bacon and then cut them into really fine pieces. So I'm just going to cut them vertically like this, and then I'm going to dice them up. And a along with the bacon, I'm gonna cut a few of the remaining cloves of garlic right here. So how I typically go about cooking my Brussels sprouts and bacon is I first pan fry it with like the bacon, so all the grease and all the flavor gets in the Brussels sprouts. Then I put it back onto the tray, and then we're gonna toss it in the oven and let it bake and let it crisp up. So that's what we're gonna do. Just gonna stir fry a little bit. So now we're gonna toss in the Brussels sprouts. It smells so delicious already. So while the Brussels sprouts is cooking, we're gonna add some salt and sugar. I really want to extract like that flavor, and the sweetness of the sugar really balances out with how salty the bacon and the salt we're adding is gonna be. So let's do that. Oh, also I'm gonna add a little bit of pepper. And the most important thing is sugar. So now that we've put the Brussels sprouts back on the tray, we're going to toss them into the oven. There's about 30 minutes left, which is the perfect amount of time for these Brussels sprouts to cook. So let's do that right now. So last and most essential part of Thanksgiving is mashed potatoes. And my favorite go-to mashed potatoes are from Costco right here. I'm not Nara Smith, so I don't make mashed potatoes in-house, but these are really delicious. I'm gonna open this, put them into a nice beautiful bowl, and then wait till microwave it. And as for the shrimp, these cook really quite fast despite how big they are, so I'll probably toss them in when there's about 15 minutes left in the oven, and then they should be good to go. So
A few moments later.
So it's been about an hour or so. I'm gonna take the lamb out of the oven and then see how much longer it needs to cook, just to double check. So I checked the temperature of this meat. Based on the buoyancy, I think it needs about another 15 to 20 minutes. So we're gonna pop this back into the oven. So based on the texture of this meat, I think it's done. It should be a medium rare. We're just gonna let it rest for a good 20 minutes or so while the other ingredients still cook, and then we're gonna cut into it. So shrimp was also done, so I grabbed it out of the oven. So last but not least, I'm gonna take the Brussels sprouts out of the oven, and they should be good. Let's take them out. Do you see how bomb this look? Oh my god, look how crispy it is. Ooh. It's the moment of truth. I really hope I got a medium rare. So the first thing we're gonna try is the mashed potatoes and gravy. First bite, here we go. It's so good. Costco always hits. Second thing we're gonna try is the Brussels sprouts. First bite, here we go. It's perfectly seasoned, salty, sweet, all you could ask for. Now let's try the lamb, the meat that we've been waiting for. First bite, here we go. So I'm going to keep on eating with my grandparents, but this has been a Thanksgiving cooking vlog, and I hope you really enjoyed it. I want to thank you guys again so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate all the love and the support. I hope you guys enjoyed this cooking vlog. If you guys did, I'll hopefully cook more in the future. But I'm going to enjoy this meal with my grandparents. And I love you guys. Happy Thanksgiving for those who that celebrate. Again, I love you guys and know that you matter. Bye.